Okay. So, is there any doubt from previous session or whatever the content of the previous week?
Sir, yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Tell me.
In this week, like,
Hmm.
one minute.
Sorry.
Sir, in this week they have mentioned like
Hmm.
the the efficiency of solar cell, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, in that we have the short circuit current and open circuit voltage.
Hmm. Yeah.
But they also said like if we increase the either the short circuit current or open circuit voltage,
Hmm.
we can get the maximum form factor. But I can't understand like why increasing the short circuit current is reducing the open circuit voltage and vice versa.
Okay. 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 Fine. Yeah.
They have mentioned like PN mentioned there also. That's why I'm asking like how increasing one.
Okay. So, basically, like, so let me explain. Yeah, for others, yeah, the question is uh, how just not just in by just not increasing either short circuit current or open circuit voltage, you can't get higher efficiency. That is the question, right?
Sir, can you say the question once again?
So, by increasing either the short circuit current or open circuit voltage, why can't we get the highest efficiency, right?
No, like
Oh,
I know that by increasing either one, we can get the increased form factor.
hmm.
But my question is, if we increase the short circuit current, why the open circuit voltage gets reduced?
Okay, okay, okay. I will tell. Yeah. So,
So better you can explain once please.
okay. So, yeah. So, basically, as you, so let me, yeah. So, the thing is, so like this, if we draw the IV characteristics of a PN junction diode or solar cell you call, so in the dark state the curve will look like this, exponential, right? So what happens is, now now as you increase uh, so as you increase the as you increase the you are saying if you increase the short circuit current, uh, so can you repeat once again your question?
Yeah.
Oh,
So, sir, in that video, sir had mentioned like
uh-huh.
we need to find the better point, which is maximum power point, which is between the short circuit
Huh.
current and open circuit voltage.
Yeah.
Sir has also mentioned that we can get the efficiency of the solar cell increased by increasing either one, either short circuit current or
Hmm.
open circuit voltage.
Hmm.
But we can't increase both because if we increase current, the voltage will get reduced. So that's why how the voltage is getting reduced.
Okay, okay, okay. So let's just yeah. So the so this is the characteristics in the dark. So these are the dark characteristics, right? So now as you uh, put light, so this curve will get shift downward, right? So
Yeah.
this whole curve will get shift downward. So now as you put more and more light, and this is your short circuit current, whatever intersect at the zero bias voltage, right? And whatever this intersection at zero current, that is your open circuit voltage, right?
Yeah.
This is open circuit voltage. Now, just by the thing is this this curve has a definite form. So this curve, the form is derived from your p-n junction characteristic. So basically, until unless you are not changing the shape of this curve, you can't get better actually. So basically, the this fill factor or efficiency, so that is defined as like this ISC multiplied by VOC, that is this area. Okay. So now, so this is your you ideally want VOC multiplied by ISC. That is possible only if your characteristics are like this. So you follow like after the threshold voltage, characteristics are like this, just vertical. These characteristics, if these are rectangular kind of thing, then you can get ideal form factor. But these are not a rectangular kind of thing. So what observe what observed, like practically observed, is like this kind of trend. So basically, this current and voltage had a definite relationship within this operating region. When you operate within VOC and between 0 to VOC bias voltage, or I0 to ISC current. So this has the current and voltage has definite relationship. So your one point in this, and the your power is multiplication of these two. So when you get like when you apply when you start operating as lower, so this at a particular radiation, at the particular uh, uh, at a particular intensity of light you are putting onto the solar cell, this curve form will remain constant. So now this, where the operating point will be, that will decided by your open circuit, like the circuit, external circuit you have connected. So if this is suppose Pn, so suppose you have connected the load. So in the open case, open circuit case, you are not drawing any power, you just disconnected or you connected a infinite resistance load. So that means infinite resistance load means you are not drawing any power. So this is open circuit. So that also does not have any meaning, but as you apply a finite load, the current will start uh, following, and this, the voltage across the PN junction will adjust according to your external circuit, right? Based on this relationship. Is that fine?
Yes, sir. But also the when we increase the short circuit current, sir has said like band gap will get reduced.
Uh,
PG. So can you explain how it's getting reduced in PN junction if we increase the short circuit current?
it we increase the short circuit, no, by what process actually, the thing is like you can uh, band gap, so like by putting the light itself won't change much, like there are some other parameters like temperature that impact the band gap. But on the other hand, like you can't change the band gap just like that, just shining the light, you can't change the band gap. Like there is some effect due to temperature, but like not just like there may be some parameters that playing out, but those are not that significant. So I doubt like sir has said like this.
Maybe at the end of the session you can just see the slides so that
Okay,
also
okay, okay. I will see the slides. Then we can discuss.
yeah,
So
yeah.
this thing is clear, na? So as you suppose you are drawing more current. So there is a series resistance because of this PNN region has a finite resistance. So what will happen? Your voltage across the junction will get reduced because now the uh, voltage will those also, when you start drawing the current, those resistance drop will be there. So two factors are decided. One is your your characteristics are decided by uh, your these characteristics are decided by your PN junction diode. So whatever diode you have fabricated, this is extreme is decided. Now the operating point is decided how much load you have connected, or how large your current you are drawing actually. So based on that you will operate either here. One of the operating area, whether you operate here, so that will decide by the circuit parameter actually. So if you are drawing this much current, then this operating voltage will be there. If you are drawing large current, a small current, then the open circuit voltage will be there. But the fill factor fill factor reduction is there, because there is a non-linearity in this here in this characteristics actually.
So the maximum power point will change depending upon the load we connected, right?
Depending on the load, depending on the operating point. So for ideal case, it comes here. So that is maximum power point is decided by the maximum area of this rectangle which you can fit within this. So that is the maximum actually.
But if we connect the more load, the maximum power point will not be in the ideal position, right? It will shift
Yeah,
to
it will
over
shift.
time.
It will shift. Yeah.
So what we do by connecting the higher load for the solar panel, how we maintain?
So you maintain the load across this junction uh, finite. The you need to do basically the load regulation actually. So you can
So we
operate.
need to calculate the load uh, depending upon the type capacity of the solar panel, right?
So basically you if you if you have changed the load, then you need a larger cell in either in parallel or series, that you need to adjust actually.
Okay, sir.
Is this fine, no?
Yeah, it's fine.
So ideally, for a single cell, once you fabricated the device, this characteristic won't change. The VOC and ISC is decided by your where you are operating. You can operate within this VOC, and ISC are the extreme limit. You need to operate in third quadrant to generate the power actually. But the exact where which point you will operate, that will decided by what load, or what is the resistance of load, or what is the load lines, similar to like your amplifier. How much load you connect, that your operating point may get changed. So that's why like in amplifier also this loading effect is there actually. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
right. So it's kind of a similar thing. There also the internal characteristics are decided by the device. Suppose you are operating a common emitter amplifier, so the characteristics are look like this. But your load, if you consider like this common emitter amplifier, then this is IC versus VC. So then you draw a load line which signifying the external circuit, right? So then the intersection of these characteristics with that load line decide your where what are the operating point out of possible you can operate actually,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
right? Okay. So yeah. So is there any doubt? Other doubt? Yeah.
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. So the let's so this week content was mainly this optical generation due to what happens when if we shine the light in semiconductor. So what happens, let me quickly summarize. So we have this conduction band and we have this valence band. So if you take the photons, then if your energy of the photons energy of the photons is larger than the band gap, then this photon can excite the carrier from conduction band to valence band. So if you shine the light, if the uh, So energy of the photons we can get like this is h bar c over lambda, or you can write 1.24 electron volt divided by lambda in micrometer. That is your energy, and with the energy you can calculate the wavelength, or if you know the wavelength then you can calculate the energy. So what is the energy of the photons? Now you can compare with the band gap. So suppose for silicon the band gap is 1.1 electron volt. So the if you put in this equation 1.1 electron volt divide by 1.24 divide by lambda. So the lambda in micrometer, it will come out as 1.24 electron volt divided by 1.1. So it will come around 1.1 something micrometer. So this will be around 1000 nanometer. So that will be in the IR or near IR infrared band. Okay. So this and the so this the energy can be greater than this because here actually when we form the band, here the continuous kind of bands are there. So minimum is this level we can excite, higher we can excite. So if we excited higher, then electron can be excited higher, then or semiconductor can be excited higher, and then it can relax back, or this. So yeah, so now if we like lambda smaller than this is possible actually, that will have the higher efficiency actually. Okay, so this was thing, uh, the like when you shine the this was the optoelectronic effect. So basically now if you are generated the electron hole pair, so if you even if you shine a light at the piece of semiconductor, then you can generate electron hole pair in the semiconductor, but as you know there is a recombination also. So sometime after this electron holes, these electron holes will electron will recombine to hole, or they can give their energy to the phonons in the semiconductor, and then they may not emit the light, they may emit the phonons actually. So then your like after this has a certain lifetime. So the electrons hole pair does not survive like very long, so they can recombine, and so in equilibrium this generation and recombination process is happening continuously. If you separate this electron hole by applying the field, then you can generate the current actually. So that is the idea behind using the junction photo detectors or junction solar cell. Basically at the junction there is a width where the electric field exists. So if you are generating electron hole pair in other region, suppose this is p region, this is n region, so here the large probability is that they will recombine here itself. But if electron hole pairs are generated within this depletion region, what will happen? The electron and hole will attract to different side, because the electric field is there. Electric field, electron goes opposite to the electric field, so electron goes this side and hole will go opposite to the electric. That will that will lead to like net current actually. So yeah, so this was a basic fundamental idea about using uh, 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 the PN junction or junction for solar cell or photodetectors. So basically, solar cells and photodetectors are quite similar device per se, but solar cell the targets are different actually. So in photodetectors, so this is the spectra of solar spectrum does look like this. It is similar to black body radiation kind of a spectra. So the idea in solar cell is basically this represent this is the flux and this is the wavelength. So idea is you want to capture this whole spectrum actually, but the so this wavelength reduce. So after a longer wavelength, suppose this is for 1000 nanometer for electrons, after a for silicon solar cell, after a certain wavelength you can't get the electron hole pair can't be generated because the energy of the photons is smaller than the energy the band gap of the electron. So so the target in solar cell is actually you capture this whole spectra. You try to capture this whole spectra, but ideally this is not. But in case of silicon, this you capture the major part, this part of spectra actually. There are other kind of solar cell. Those are much costlier that can cover even more range compared to this. In contrast to this, the PN junction or photodetectors are also similar kind of devices, but their target is you want to capture a particular specific wavelength actually, or a range of wavelength. Suppose visible light photodetectors is there, or infrared, or so depending on the application. So all the night visions and those kind of application near infrared or infrared. Uh, uh, Infrared light you use, or similar like this thermal scanner, like thermal gun you see, like they operate in the IR or near IR band. So the depending on the particular range of wavelength, you want that particular specific wavelength actually. So that is the difference. So in solar cell you want to capture all spectra whatever radiated from sun, so that you can get the photon corresponding to each of the wavelength. But in the photodetector you want to a particular wavelength which your application demands. So that is the primary difference between the solar cell and photodetectors. Uh, so uh, so a bad solar cell, suppose so solar cell, a bad solar cell can be, it can be a good photodetector actually, but the vice versa is not true. Suppose you are capturing in photodetector very small wavelength, but you want to capture in solar cell like as large as spectrum as possible actually. Okay, so is this clear?
Yes, sir, clear.
Okay, so let's just move to next. Yeah, so let's just solve problems. So uh, yeah, so a solar cell is an example of photoconductive. So basically, photoconductive devices are based on like this. Your conductivity or resistivity changes with application of light. So that you can say, like some the if you take piece of semiconductor, if you shine the light, then there is a change of conductivity in there. So the photoconductive cells are those which you utilize the change in conductivity or resistivity based on shining light. So those are photoconductive effect. And photovoltaic effect is like you are generating you are creating this kind of like not just change in the conductivity. So basically the when you shine the light on the PN junction, so there is not much change in the conductivity, but this electron hole pair that gets separated, and then that will lead to a generation in the like that will lead to finite voltage at the terminal of the PN junction. Even you can measure just by, if you shine the light, if you take PN junction diode, if you shine the light, then even in the open circuit you can measure the voltage, you will get the voltage whatever the possible. So those are the photovoltaic device. uh, the photothermoelectric effect, so that is based on like this like thermoeffective effect, like all this uh, these uh, Peltier coolers, or those are based on those thermoelectric effect. Basically, if you have thermal heat, so if you maintain a gradient across two sides, then you can generate the electricity based on that. So those are thermoelectric devices. And the phototransistor is basically kind of similar kind of devices, but that has like similar to like a BJT or PN junction. That is the three terminal devices. So solar cell are mostly two terminal devices, and bolometric is your pressure, or those kind of things. Yeah, so those are also not. So the correct answer is the photovoltaic. Okay, so is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I think it should be easy. Yeah. So let's move to next problem. So based on the device given below, answer the following questions. So the solar cell, halogen one, LED, lasers, photodetectors. So the device which can convert light into the electricity. So uh, solar cell, yeah, solar cell can convert. Basically, when you shine the light, it will generate the electricity. So the first one is the correct answer. And the halogen bulb, it's reverse basically. When you pass the electricity, then it will generate the light due to like when you heat up the filament, then it will generate the light. It will generate the emit that radiation which is in the visible length. So that second is not correct. uh, uh, Third, LED. So LED ideally you can convert, but the LED, the thing is, uh, the LED in LED, so in LED you want, so the LEDs are optimized opposite to the solar cell or photodetector. Photodetector, you want all the light, whatever all the radiation you are putting into the device should capture. The LEDs, the your target is whatever the, if you apply the voltage across the PN junction, then there is a light emission because electron hole pair recombine. Then the idea is you extract out all the light which is generated. The photon should not get reabsorbed in the semiconductor. So that is what the LEDs and photodetectors we can't use. LEDs are for different purpose and different regime of operation. So those generate the light based on the voltage application. Fourth is other lasers. So lasers, as you know, these are also used for generating very like highly intensity of lights. So those are also for not the devices which convert light into electricity, and the photodetector can convert actually. So as we discussed before also, so the correct answer for this will be first and fifth. So yeah, the device which can convert electricity into light. So other devices, halogen bulbs, LED and lasers are the other way. So first, third and fourth are the devices which can convert electricity into light. Yeah. So uh, let's. Is there any doubt? There is no doubt, right?
No doubt, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the solar cell are typically made of sulfur, that is not semiconductors. Antimony, it can behave some kind of like just bare antimony is not semiconductor, so you can neglect. iron is transition metals. Those does not like their band or they are good conductors kind of, but not semiconductors. The magnesium also, like this group one or second element, they are good conductor of electricity, but they don't uh, they don't fall in the line of semiconductors. So the only option here is the silicon actually. So if the option could have been in the gallium arsenide or indium arsenide or any other material, then you can choose those. Then you need to see like if the option is correct or not. But in the given option, the correct answer is silicon only. So the correct answer is silicon.
But if the gallium phosphate and indium phosphate given, then
Right.
what would be the answer?
Then multiple actually. So gallium arsenide solar cells was there also there. Actually, gallium arsenide is better. So gallium arsenide is a direct band gap semiconductor. So what does the direct band gap? So if you draw E versus K diagram, so that is known as the band structure. So if you draw the band structure, so in the silicon, so what happens is in the silicon, the the your whole band and electron well does not lie in the vertical line actually. So this is far away. This is your conduction band minima. So this is conduction band minima, and this is valence band maxima. So what happens is when you shine a light, uh, when you shine a light, the this electron this will excite to higher level up to a virtual energy level, and then if there are photons which can transfer this momentum to so this the x-axis is a k side, k which is known as the momentum, and uh, the y-axis is the energy. So the photons has zero momentum and finite energy. So so the photon does not have any momentum, so they can't provide the momentum to transfer the electrons from holes, electron from conduction band to valence band. But there are in the silicon or all the materials, this the vibrations modes are there actually. All the silicon atoms, or if you take so suppose this silicon atoms are there, so at finite temperature they constantly like vibrating. This bond will get vibrate in different kind of mode. Suppose this atoms will move this position here and there. So this kind of those those can provide this momentum to the electrons that can transfer them, but this is a less efficient process compared to the direct band gap semiconductor such as gallium arsenide. So the gallium arsenide, the band structure is like this. So if you draw this, this is 0k, then if this is the valence band maxima, then conduction band minima fall in the same line. So basically in this you need you need just for photon of momentum, this energy gap, you can get the light you can get the you can just excite the electron hole pair. Okay, so this process is much easier because this does not need this phonon momentum transfer. Then like this process is simpler, like yeah. So the initial solar cells was like this international space missions, or like initially the solar cell was used in this like all the 1970 NASA missions. So they were they were made of gallium arsenide actually. So gallium arsenide solar cell efficiency is better compared to the silicon. But the problem with gallium arsenide, it's not naturally occurring material actually. So you need the silicon, you can grow it by this bulk growth method, So that substrate is much cheaper compared to other, like all the gallium nitride phosphide or any other substrate or 3,5 material. But these are the direct to end gap material, so this efficiency is high actually. So in the like those kind of costly mission, you don't have any limit on cost. You can tolerate the best quality product with the cost. Then in those missions actually gallium arsenide solar cells was used actually. This has much higher efficiency compared to silicon. But if you compare like for regular use like nowadays, silicon solar cells, even if silicon solar cell also has some category. One is crystalline solar cell. So that has the they use the substrate of single crystal kind of, or single near to single crystal silicon. Also there are polysilicon solar cell is there. So those kind of cell, the polycrystalline silicon is also cheaper. So you like earlier, even now also some cells are the polycrystalline. So the efficiency is lower even in silicon, in polysilicon, because of the grain boundaries and other effect. It's not single crystal, so the uh, carrier loss is more, lifetime is less, so you get less efficiency actually. So the ideal is the single crystal solar cell. So is that clear?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Yeah, so is that answer your question, right? I just digress a bit. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so let's just move to next problem. Uh, the photodiode, a photodiode has a responsivity of 0.25 ampere per watt at 532 nanometer. Find the efficiency of the detector. So efficiency of the detector. So this is generating, if you shine 1 watt of light, then it is generating 0.25 ampere current. Okay. So the this is responsivity, and if we calculate, so for 1 watt of light, it's giving this much current. So then if we calculate this 532 nanometer, the energy gap uh, is your if you calculate this, then 1.24 by lambda, that is 1.24 divided by 0.532. Then you can calculate this. Uh, yeah, so now you can calculate this. So yeah, so now this is the energy of one photons. So this the current is basically number of electrons you have produced. So 0.5 ampere means uh, this number of coulomb charge you have produced. So you can calculate 0.25 ampere means 0.25 coulomb per second. Okay. So this much charge you have produced, or if you want to calculate how much number of electrons you have produced, then you divide by the point. So the 1 coulomb has uh, the 1 coulomb, like 1 electron has charge of uh, 1 electron has a charge of 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb. So you can calculate how many number of electrons are getting produced. So if you divide by this number, then 0.25 divided by 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 electrons per second, right? This much electrons is getting produced. Let's say this 1 watt is there, then we can get so the energy, this so these are the joules per second. So if we can get the, this is the energy gap is this energy of the one photon, this is 1.24 1.024 divided by 0.532, it will be 2.5 electron volt actually. So this will be 2.5 into 10 power 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 joule, right? So now this much joule energy is one photon has. So in this power, in this like 1 joule, how many number of photons you can have? You just divide. So basically, 1 divided by 2.5 into 1.6 into 10 power minus 19, this many number of photon, yeah, so this joule, and the upper is joule per second. So now if you calculate, then this joule become cancels, then this will become 1 upon 2.5 into 1.6 into 10 power 19 photons per second. So efficiency is basically how many number of electrons you are generating divided by per number of photons. So how many number of photons electrons you are generating with how many number of photons. So basically if we can divide, so we can just calculate, yeah, so if we can just calculate, yeah, so now this is 0.25 divided by 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. So and this number of photons is 1 divided by 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 multiplied by 1. So yeah, so this if you uh, this 2.5 terms is also there. So this you can get cancelled, and around you will get around 0.6 or something 62% around, some 60% 0.60 something you will get, that will come around 60%, yeah. So the correct answer will be around 58. So is that clear? So efficiency, to calculate efficiency you did how many number of photons, number of electrons generated divided by number of photon incident. Okay, so is that clear, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine, yeah. So with this, let's move to consider a let's move to next problem. Consider a gallium arsenide at T equals to 300 Kelvin. The incident photon intensity is given as 0.05 watt per centimeter square. So this in 1 centimeter square area your power is 0.05 watt. The lambda is given as 0.793. Lambda is given as 793. So lambda is equals to 793. Assuming as the typical absorption coefficient of uh, 10 power 4, the electron hole pair generation rate is so yeah, so now if we so typical, so this much intensity, so basically this much intensity you are incidenting here 0.05 watt per centimeter square within a one time constant. How many uh, the absorption coefficient will define, like how many like per unit length how much electrons you have get absorbed. So basically uh, to get the number of photons or electron generated within this, you just need to multiply this IV of x is 0.05 watt per centimeter square multiply by alpha. So that many number of photon will get absorbed. So then you will get that as 0.05 multiply by uh, watt divide by per centimeter square multiply by 10 power 4. So this we will get 0.05 into 10 power 4 watt per centimeter cube. Within 1 cubic meter, this much electrons are getting generated. So now we need to find the electron hole pair generate rate. So this many number of, so this is what is joule per second. So basically this much 0.05 into 10 power 4 joule per second per centimeter cube is generated. So now if you consider all the electrons, so now if we calculate the energy of this 1.24 divided by 793.793, if we take this 8, so we can calculate this 1.24 divided by zero point 0.8, right? So now if we can, so how many number of photons uh, uh, will be there in the beam, then you can get that if you divide by this, the 0.05 multiplied by 10 power 4, this is electron volt. To convert into joule you need to multiply by 1.6 into 10 power 19. So this is 1.24 multiply by 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 divided by zero point 0.8. If you simplify this many number of photon will get generated. So if your efficiency is 100%, then the same number of electrons will get generated. Then then uh, then you can get, if you solve this, then you will get around this 0.05 multiplied by zero point 0.8 by 1.24 multiplied by 1.6 multiplied by 10 power 19 plus 4. Yeah, if you solve this correctly, then you will get this first as the 2 into 10 power 21 approximately number of photons per unit cube. It will get generated per centimeter per second. Is that clear?
Yeah, so the 10 power 19 plus 4 we have 10 power 19 plus 4.
Yeah, 10 power 19 and 10 power 4 was this the
The solution is 10 power 21, right?
the yeah, so no so this point 1 2 point will go here, 2 point will go here, it will come around 10 power 21.
Okay, sir.
So this bottom terms are around 1, so 3 power will go in this actually.
Okay, okay.
So this will come 10 power 23, right? So now the bottom is 1.6 multiplied by 1.2, that will come more than 1, that will, and this will become point uh, 040, right? Top term. And this will be 4 and 6 and yeah, so this will become 1 point it will become 116, so 1.8 something, then it will come around 2. So 1.8 if you approximate 2, then you will come around this zone 0.02 multiplied by 10 power something. Yeah, I think this,
Yes.
yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah, I understand.
Okay, so let's move to next problem. uh, a silicon photocell is tested, uh, being tested measures 4 centimeter and 4 centimeter. The area is 4 centimeter cross 4 centimeter. Assume that the cell has no significant series resistance, so that means efficiency is 100%. Initially the cell is kept in the dark. When a load current of IL is forced through this in the direction of good conduction, the so the voltage across the diode is VOC is this. So what is the reverse saturation current in the uh, pico ampere. So if you so the total current is given as the I total equals to minus times IL plus IS exponential of V uh, by KT VB E by KT minus 1. So now since this is kept in the dark and VOC is given, so that means you need to keep I total as 0 because we are operating in open circuit one. So then it will become your IL will become IL equals to IS exponential of VBE by KT minus 1. If you bring this, so this will become uh, IL by IS equals to exponential of VBE by KT minus 1, then exponential of VBE by KT equals to 1 plus IL by IS. So now VBE will be equals to, if you take log KT by Q, like you can take in electron volt, ln 1 plus IL by IS. So or since we are operating in the open circuit condition, then this VBC is open circuit voltage is given, KT we know, and IL is given. Then from that we can calculate the IS current actually. So if you calculate the IS current, so if you calculate this, so let's just calculate IL is given as 100 microampere by exponential of VBE. Exponential is 0.466 divided by 0.025. So this will become so if you so if we assume this as a 0.5, then this will become 20. So minus 1, so 100 microampere divided by exponential of 20 minus 1. So you can calculate exponential of 20 is around 2.303 power 20 something. Yeah, you can calculate by exact by this. Then you can get the the saturation current from here. Is that clear? Method is clear.
Sir, I get around like we derived the VB equation KT by KT ln 1 plus IL by IS. After
Okay.
that, what we are doing?
Okay. So basically VB we will put as a VOC.
Okay, okay.
Then we need to find the, we also did not need to take log, we just can find this I total is 0, IL we are provided, IS we need to find. So it just replace and find kind of problem.
Okay, so after we derive the VOC equation,
Uh,
we need to modify this equation so that we can find IS.
yeah, yeah.
So IS is equal to what you have written, the final 100
So
microampere.
IS will be IS will be IL by exponential of VBE by KT minus 1, right? This term, this whole term you will come here,
Yeah,
right, in the denominator. So here you will bring this term, so it will be like this, right?
yeah. So we need to substitute the values.
We just need to substitute the value and we will get the answer.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's move to next problem. A single solar cell of 5 centimeter 10 centimeter cross 10 centimeter produces a voltage of 0.5 volt and the maximum current is 2.5 ampere. So IM is 2.5 ampere. The solar intensity is of 800 watt 800 watt per meter square. Then what is the approximate efficiency? Okay, So the approximate efficiency we can calculate the the we can calculate is the efficiency is power out by power in. So our power out is the I max, the maximum current multiplied by the Vmax, maximum voltage. Power in is this is provided in intensity, that is power per unit area. If we multiply by the area, so that is 10 centimeter multiplied by 10 centimeter. So to convert that, we need to multiply by 10 power minus 4, because the intensity is given as per meter square. So we need to convert this unit to meter, MKS unit, yeah, SI unit. So now 0.5 multiplied by 2.5 divide by 800 watt, multiply by this become 2 10 power 2 multiply by 10 power minus 4, right? Now if we can, this 10 power 2 and this will get cancelled, so this 0.5 multiplied by 2.5 divide by 8, so this will become 0.125 divide by 8. If we multiply by the if we to calculate the mm, this is 1.25, yeah. So now we can calculate 0.1 uh, 5 something, yeah. So this we will get multiply by 100 will give the efficiency in percentage, so this will give come around 15%, right? Is that clear? Yeah.
Yeah, sir. Also, here we have given the solar intensity to 800 watt per meter square.
Mm-hmm.
But what if it's like centimeter square or some other units? We
So
are just
basically, this area you need to get cancelled. So if the intensity unit is given in the meter square, then area also you need to take in meter square. So that's what I have converted. So either, so you need to make unit same actually. Be careful
so
with.
just the unit conversion is kind of confusing, sir.
Uh, okay, so this intensity is given in a meter square now. So this is 10 centimeter into 10 centimeter. So
Yeah.
centimeter you will convert into meter into 10 minus 2. Here also 10 multiplied by 10 power minus 2. So the total area to convert into the meter cube, meter square, you need to multiply by 10 power minus 2 multiply by 10 power minus 2.
So the always the solar intensity will be in watt per meter square, right?
No, not always. Like that depends on the, here in the problem. It's not. It may be like standard, maybe per meter cube, but problem you can give, because the solar cell normal, if you take 1 unit cell, those are in the order of centimeter only. So the area will be given the centimeter cube, but intensity can be given as the meter cube also, meter square also. So you need to be careful about the unit actually.
So if the area is given in centimeter, like
Huh.
10 centimeter into 10 centimeter, and solar intensity is also in watt per centimeter, we
Huh.
don't need any conversion, right?
No, no, you don't need any conversion. If area is also given in meter square, then also you don't need any conversion.
Then we can just put 10 into 10.
Yeah, just 10 into 10.
To convert centimeter to meter, we are using 10 power minus 2.
10 power minus 2. Yeah.
If it is vice versa,
So you don't need to multiply by 10 power plus 2. So
oh,
uh,
okay, okay. Yeah.
1 centimeter has uh, 1 meter has 100 centimeter, na?
Yeah.
So 1 meter has 100 centimeter, na? So
Yeah, yeah.
1 meter will go to 10 power 2 centimeter, or
Okay.
1 centimeter will goes to 10 power minus 2 meter, right?
Yeah, now I understand.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So my speed is not fast, na? Like sometime I speak fast or something. Yeah. Is
No,
it?
sir,
Yeah.
you are explaining very clearly.
Okay. Okay. So just let me know if you have like anything. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So let's move to next problem. Uh, yeah. So let's move to next problem. So consider a long silicon PN junction. Yeah, consider a long silicon PN junction solar cell with the area of 4 centimeter square. So here also area is given in 4 centimeter square. The solar cell has the following parameters like Na equals to 3 into 10 power 17, Nd is 1 into 10 power 18, Dn is given as 15, Dp is given as 17 centimeter square per second, and electron and hole lifetimes are given. Optical absorption coefficient is given as 10 power 3 and the photocurrent is alpha. So what is the saturation current in picoampere? Okay. So as you know, the saturation current is of so basically this is IL plus I saturation exponential of VBE by KT minus 1 equals to I total. So this IOIS comes from the your solar cell device PN junction parameters. So this is given as reverse saturation current in case of a normal PN junction diode is given as uh, uh, it is given as dP by P n naught by LP plus dn np naught by ln, and this is current density, you need to multiply by the area. Okay, so now Pn naught, what is Pn naught? Pn naught is the minority carrier concentration in the n side basically. So if you draw this as a PN junction, then this side the majority carrier, so this is P is approximately equals to uh, Na, the majority carrier concentration, N is approximately equals to Nd, the donor level concentration. So this is P naught, like the whole concentration in P naught at the equilibrium. Similarly, this is N naught. So to calculate N P naught, we need to calculate, we need to apply this law of mass action. So P of P naught multiplied by N of P naught equals to Ni square, right? So so this and we can calculate this n into Na and Nd. Yeah, so this we can calculate this Ni square if we take. So Np naught will be, if we take Ni square 1.5 into 10 power 10, then Np naught will be Ni square, this square divided by Pp naught is Na. So Np naught is basically Ni square by Na, and Pn naught is Ni square by Nd, right? So here we can put, so n LP we know, so from the drift diffusion of the carrier, LP is square root of dP multiplied by tau p. So if we can put all the values, then this will become dP multiplied by Ni square by uh, when tau p is LP is uh, tau p into square root of dP, and this will be uh, P n naught is Nd. So this is Nd plus similarly Dn Ni square by square root of tau n Dn multiplied by Na. So this cross term will come, where this n times comes there an acceptor type come, where this p type come, where their donor times come. So multiply by the area is your the total reverse saturation current. So yeah, so this is is not is. So yeah, so if we so dp dn tau n naught tau p naught, and those all values are given. So you can put in the this equation and you can find the answer. Okay, so if you put this dp, if you can simplify more, this will become dp by tau p ni square by nd, ni square by nd plus square root of dn by tau n ni square by na multiply by area. So this dp tau p dn tau n ni you take 10 power 10 power 1.5 into 10 power 10. So the this is silicon, and na and d's are given, area is given, you can get the reverse saturation current. So if you put all the values, you will reach this. The answer will be 7 picoampere, right? So are the steps clear?
Uh, yeah, the steps somewhat confusing from. Can you explain?
Where you have doubt?
After you writing the equation, right?
Okay.
And then in the question we are asked to find the saturation current.
So saturation current is your reverse saturation current, right?
This formula is what formula?
This is reverse saturation current, right?
Yeah. So
So
the formula is the reverse saturation formula is this
yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
the dp naught.
So PN junction diode you must have like looked at, na? So this comes in this form, right?
Okay.
So this comes from the that PN junction diode character.
Okay. So then we are using the law of mass and action. We are finding the np naught,
Yeah.
and, and then what we are doing np naught and pn naught.
PN not basically the this kind of things is there, na? So yeah, so this majority carrier will let you apply the bias. This will diffuse to this side. Here it will diffuse to this side. So basically, like you need to calculate how much minority carrier diffusion is happened actually. So that decide the total current or reverse saturation current. So
Oh,
right. So that you can calculate by this. This is the NP naught. We apply the law of mass action actually.
yeah,
This,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So then we can put the NP naught here in this equation. So we can put here NP naught and PN naught and NP naught here, and LP is given as this, or LN is given as DN tau n square root, right?
So we need to find the LP and LN.
Yeah, diffusion length and this thing. So if you put this dp comes in the denominator as well as numerator, so you can simplify that also. That is square root will get cancelled with the upside, like in the numerator. Right? Is that clear? Right?
Yeah. Then in the final formula, how are we getting the whole square root for dp by tau p?
So this term you can write as dp ni square by square root of tau p square root of dp, right? This is there, na? So
Yeah, yeah.
this you can write the square root of dp square. You can cancel that one square, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So then your whatever remaining is the square root of dp by tau p.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So yeah. So now calculate the maximum output power. Uh, so to calculate the now you have, once you calculate the is, so now you can if you put in the open circuit equation, then IL is basically equals to is exponential of VOC by KT minus 1, right? So now if you can put I as we know from the previous part, IL we have been provided that IL is 1 ampere. So you can put IL as 1 ampere by IS from the previous part, exponential of VOC by minus 1. So the exponential of VOC by KT, then you can write this VOC equals to KT ln 1 plus IL by IS, right? IS we find from the previous part, that is 7 picoampere, right? IL is given, so this is KT ln 1 plus IL is 1 ampere, IL is 1 ampere and IS is 1 1 picoampere. So if you calculate this, uh, if you put this value, then like once you find the VOC, then you know the IL, then you can get the maximum power. So the efficiency, the maximum efficiency of silicon solar cell is around 33% or 33 or 32%. That Shockley-Quasar limit. So if you take 32% or 0.32 uh, equals to VOC, so VOC C multiply by ISC divided by power input multiply by fill factor. So where this VOC versus ISC, so yeah, so this, so basically this efficiency, so in the solar cell you can calculate the efficiency as VM maximum power divided by VOC multiply by ISC or power input, sorry, power input. Now you know this fill factor is Vm multiplied by Im divided by Voc multiplied by IOC. So this Vm multiplied by IOM you can put as fill factor multiplied by VOC multiplied by ISC divided by power input. So then it will become, yeah, so then you will reach at this equation. Then you can calculate this current, this the uh, uh, the open circuit voltage and short circuit current you can calculate, and this will be your at so so short circuit, so how you calculate the short circuit current? Now from this you can find the VOC. So if we put I total equals to uh, uh, Is exponential of minus minus VV by KT minus 1 multiplied by minus IL. So now if you put this this VB at 0, that short circuit, this will be at 0, then this exponential will become 1, this term will go to 0, right? So that your ISC will become minus IL, right? And IL we have given. So now we find the ISC, VOC, we can put in here the P input power we are given, and we can calculate for fill factor we are provided. Then yeah, so we are given the efficiency, we can calculate the input power, right? Just by input power will be V in will be VOC ISC by 0.432 multiplied by fill factor. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. So we need to first find the VOC, then ISC,
Huh.
then we put the in the final formula, right?
Yeah, so I think then yeah, it's just substitution base. You will find around 0.50 something uh, watt, 0.50 watt.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so let's move to next problem. Yeah, a PN junction solar cell of area 1 centimeter square, illuminated uniformly with 100 milliwatt per centimeter square, has the following parameters. Efficiency is 15%, open circuit voltage uh, VOC is zero point 0.7, fill factor is zero point 0.8, thickness is 200 micron, the average optical generation rate actually. So, so now in this basically, uh, yeah, so yeah, so now like first the thing is, so your we need to calculate, so like let's say this is the thickness in the direction, we have put this I naught here, which is equals to 100 milliwatt per centimeter square. Now what will happen, this photon will get absorbed, it will follow the I of x will be equals to I naught exponential of minus alpha times x. Yeah, so this will be the your intensity profile. So now the so now this is the intensity profile. So how many number of photons will get generated or photons flux will get generated will be decided by this, the how many number of photons getting absorbed. So basically we need to integrate this equation. So the total number of total so so this is given as the intensity. We can calculate how many number of photons per unit centimeter cube we have injected actually. So how much radiation power. So the yeah, so now we to calculate the flux, we just need to yeah, we just need to yeah, so the total so total photon absorbed, we can calculate this I naught exponential of minus alpha x integration from 0 to L dx. So if we calculate I naught exponential of minus alpha x by alpha minus from 0 to L. So this will become I naught by minus alpha exponential of minus alpha L minus exponential of 0 will become 1, exponential of minus 0 divided by minus alpha, minus alpha I have taken. So now it will become I naught by alpha, this will become 1, so it will become 1 minus exponential of minus alpha times L. Yeah, so this will be the uh, total number of photons getting absorbed. uh, so this is per centimeter cube, right? So this uh, the total number of photons getting the total flux of this. uh, Now with this we can calculate. So if we multiply by the efficiency, so 0.15 if we multiply, so this many number of photons getting absorbed, right? Now to calculate how many number of photons per centimeter cube or whatever the unit, uh, we can get uh, the number of so we can get, yeah, so this many number of photons getting absorbed, if we multiply by this number of photons by the efficiency, then we can get how many number of electron hole pair getting generated by the in the in the uh, in the uh, the total number of electrons are getting generated uh, from this efficiency, and then once we find the number of electron hole pair generated, that we can calculate by the fill factor. We can calculate the optical generation rate, basically how many number of electrons actually generated based on your uh, your your uh, uh, based on the your optical power you have put. So basically efficiency will calculate the efficiency, and eta is given as VOC multiply by ISC divided by power input multiply by fill factor. So now VOC we have given 0.15 as the efficiency, VOC is as given 0.7, ISC we need to find, divide by power input we are provided. This is the power input is 100, so this is 100 milliwatt per centimeter cube per centimeter square, and yeah, so this uniform illumination is there. So the per centimeter cube, if you integrate this equation, then you will get total number of photon getting absorbed. From that you can get the total number of electron being generated. So the average optical generation rate, how many number of photon generated electrons generated by how many number of photons per centimeter cube. So basically we need to answer the flux rate only. So this is per centimeter cube per second actually. So this is basically numbers like rate per unit per centimeter cube. Is that clear? Yeah. So the if you calculate correctly, you will find this answer will be around 8.4 into 10 power 18 per centimeter cube per second inverse.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So yeah. So this was the last problem for today. So you have some earlier doubt in the beginning. So any other others? Do you have any doubt?
Earlier I said like in the lecture slide.
Okay, so should I open the lecture slide?
So maybe you can get idea because yeah,
Okay, so you remember where the sir has said about the
yeah, I have the slide.
which
One minute. I guess it's second lecture
second lecture?
in this week.
This one, right? So you,
No. It's actually third lecture. Third lecture. Yeah.
third lecture, okay. Uh, yeah, so just wait. You have approximate idea where it was
Yeah.
um,
In the there will be a slide named efficiency of a solar cell. Page
efficiency.
number it's 13 number slide number 13.
Just uh, so 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 it is around like when you so the question was what was your question?
In the lectures, Harad said to increase the efficiency, we either need to increase the short circuit current or
Okay.
So sir has also mentioned that if we increase the short circuit current,
Mm-hmm.
there will be a change in the band gap, like there will be reducing EG.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so that's why that's what I got understood.
Just wait. Uh, yeah. So basically, the idea is reducing. So suppose silicon has 11 point uh, 11 1.1 electron volt band gap. So ideally, you want to capture. So the idea is you this so this 1.1 comes around here. So this is corresponding to 1.1 electron volt. So here the wavelength get increased. So the this side the wavelength increase and the energy band gap decreases. So if you increase the band gap, required band gap will also decrease. So if you reduce the band gap, basically you capture more spectrum actually.
So like if we reduce the band gap, so hence the short circuit current will be because every range of electron can be reduced.
So yeah, so then basically you generate more photons actually.
Okay. So why does the voltage get reduced if we change the band gap?
Okay, so basically, this so once you just wait. So so basically, your so yeah, so your open circuit voltage is kT by q ln I 1 plus IL by Is, right? This is reverse saturation current. So this as you this as we have calculated, Is was proportional to Ni square, right?
Yeah.
So Is was proportional to Ni square, and Ni is basically your if you calculate this Ni, then this is Ni is basically square root of Nc into Nv exponential of minus Eg by 2 kT. So the Ni square will be Nc into Nv exponential of minus Eg by kT, right?
Yeah.
So now, uh, so if you reduce this band gap, then this Ni square will get increase. Then your Is will get also increase. Then your I here if the Is will get increase, this VOC will reduce actually.
Okay. So we are assuming this through equations.
Yeah, so basically equation like basically you need to change the material. So the equation yeah, so it's like to change the band gap you need to take different band gap material. But once you selected a material, then you can't do much actually. Once you assume that it's a silicon or something, then the only band gap only little bit get changed by changing the temperature. Otherwise I don't think you can change. Otherwise you do like play out with the geometry, but other than once you decide a particular semiconductor material, then it's more or less fixed actually.
Okay. Yes, sir.
So within a cell, like once you design the cell, then you can't change the this band gap actually. You can choose better band gap material. So this other lower band gap material, but those have those that advantage that then also if you put too much less band gap material, then VOC get reduced. Then also your efficiency will not be very high,
Okay. Yes, sir.
right?
That was yeah. That was made out. How increasing one getting another one reduced.
Okay, okay, fine. Yeah. Yeah, you have any other doubt?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, anyone else has any other doubt? Okay, I think if there is no further doubt, then we can end this session today. We will meet next time, same slot. Thank you so much for listening. We will have same session. Bye bye. Have a nice day. Yeah. Thank you so much.